Why is the rematch going to be any different, Chael Sonnen?
All right, listen, fair question. Now, I got to tell you, back up to that fight, it was the dirtiest fight. It was the closest. It was the hardest fight I have ever witnessed in person. Look, these guys went into the 5th round. It was very clear. It was 2 apiece. That fight was stopped way through the 5th round. Even that round up until that moment was very close, and there was a little controversy. Now, I'm talking the smallest amount, but the position where the fight was stopped in, Colby Covington was in on what's called a single leg, meaning he was clinging to one leg, looking for a takedown, and he was being struck. I have never in my history of following the sport since 1993 seen a fight stopped in that position. I do not argue for you it was a bad stoppage. I argue there was just enough sprinkling of question and controversy on the fight to definitely do the rematch. Now, you asked me a different question. You simply said, why is this going to be different? Look, one thing, but it goes for both guys. They changed camps. Many people don't know this. Colby Covington left the American top team. He stayed in Florida, but he's doing his own thing. I spoke to him. Hey, Colby, what does that look like? Who are you training with? Where are you training with? And who's overseeing the program? He said, look, I basically have the same coaches. The one that I got along best with at American Top Team came with me. The teammates and workout partners that I preferred to spend my time and my rounds sparring with, they came with me. But all the focus is now on Colby. Is that better? I would think so. Looking at the one and only performance he's had since that contest we're referring to with Kamaru Usman the first time, he fought Tyron Woodley. He stopped him. He never lost a round. He looked great doing it. Now, I have to give those same compliments when we're talking about the champion. He moved from Boca Raton, Florida, over to Colorado, but he's also looking better. When I'm talking about Kamaru Usman, there's noticeable things about his new trainer with Trevor Whitman. His hands, most specifically. He won his last 2 contests, both by knockout. He not only knocked out, knocked down George Masvidal, he knocked George sideways. I've never seen a man go sideways in all my years of watching. I'm only sharing with you, his hands have gotten better. Both these guys have improved, George. This is a whole new fight.
Yeah, see, I don't know if I agree with you, partner, because, look, I thought Colby won that first round in that first fight, but after that, I felt like Usman, little by little, just kind of wore him down, and then the culmination being in that last round where he knocked him down twice, he broke his jaw. We know how it all ended. But here's the deal. I just feel like the inactivity also of Colby could potentially be a problem here. What do you think?
It bothers me. I know as a human being, we don't get better at something by not doing it. I don't know why he's only competed once. I can tell you this, he's had multiple training camps. And again, I've known Colby since he was 11 years old. I spoke to him as recently as 3 days ago. I asked him about that. He said, Chael, one thing you have to understand. He said, look, I would have liked to have been a little more busy too, but I was told in November I was going to be fighting Jorge Masvidal. I went into training camp for it. I prepared for it. When the carpet got pulled out from under me, I was told again, Jorge Masvidal, but we're going to do it in February of this year, as in a few months ago, in the form of the Ultimate Fighter. So we went into training camp yet again. Look, competition trumps everything, but at least knowing he's prepared, knowing he's disciplined, knowing he's focused. You're going to read a lot of things about Colby Covington, but you're never going to hear that he was out too late on a Friday night, that he was getting in trouble after hours on a Saturday night. He's a disciplined athlete, George, and when a disciplined athlete's going through training camp, look, I'll concede to you, competition's better, but it's not as though he's been out on the injury list or even chosen to be out. He's in the gym taking care of business.
Okay, now, we do hear a lot about Colby Covington, and we know that Colby Covington not only is a great fighter, but he's a great talker, okay, Chael? And I want to make sure I get this quote correct, as he called him, Kamaru Usman, the CEO of EPO. So the accusations, okay, are out there. Here's the quote. He's been doing EPO his whole career. It's so obvious, his chemical imbalance, his body. He's got the pimples all over his face. You're a 35-year-old. You're not going through puberty. So he adds, like, you're not in your teens anymore. So he's the CEO of EPO. I've heard firsthand from some people that he's trained with, some people that might have went, you know, he might have gone with went to college, and then obviously, you know, added that he said the same thing, that this could verify that he's done EPO. Quote, he's injected in his ass. So the CEO of EPO, he's Marty Juiceman. And he said that to the folks on Submission Radio. So, what say you, Chael, about these allegations?
It's got a nice ring to it, right? They both have O in it. It flows off his tongue. Juiceman, Usman. I get the whole thing. I will share this one thing with you. USADA checks for EPO, and USADA tests and shows up at Kamaru Usman's door regularly. So I think in all fairness, we need to leave it at that. And don't forget, George, there's a compliment in there Colby is conceding, because EPO helps you have good cardio, just so you understand. So Colby is acknowledging publicly, even if he's doing a backup hand, he's acknowledging, I got to be ready for 5 rounds. This guy can go hard the whole time. And I do think that Kamaru Usman did earn the respect of Colby Covington. Look, Colby still thinks he can beat him. But I think in that first fight, Colby did get a new respect for how hard Usman can go at the end of the fight. I think that, am I doing a little spin here? Yeah, sure I am. But I also think that is the bright side to that statement.
All right, real quick, before we go and move on to our next discussion, who do you like in that potential rematch? Is there an early favorite for you right now?
These guys are dead even. Look, Vegas has this at almost a 2.5 to 1 favorite for Usman. That surprises me. I believe that Usman sees it the way that you laid out, which is Usman's been more active, and we're seeing gains, particularly with those hands. We're seeing some new power. Look, one thing that was very bizarre for me as I watched that first fight, and I just went back and rewatched it last night. No one is going to talk to you about it, but these guys, don't forget, Colby Covington, All-American Division I wrestler. Don't forget, Kamaru Usman, National Champion, Division II wrestler. That was the story coming to this fight. It was a lot like Lesnar versus Shane Carwin, at least on paper. You had a D1 star and a D2 star. They never wrestled. And, George, I don't mean that either one of them failed at taking their opponent down. Neither of them attempted to take the opponent down. They decided to go fisticuffs. There was something that they saw within that contest. Whether one of them cracked the other one first, the other one got upset, didn't want to give ground, or they both had a respect. They didn't see an opportunity. They thought that effort needed for a takedown, which may or may not happen, would be too great. The squeeze wouldn't be worth the juice, but I have to tell you this. I think that's something that's going to be different. I do think that Colby Covington is at least going to test that area. I really feel, as hard as this is going to be, as competitive as this is going to be, George, I submit for you, we have a different fight.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.